Giants 24, Ravens 20. Welcome to Talking Giants presented by SeatGeek. I'm your host, Bobby Skinner, here with my co-host, Justin Pennick, and we are 5-1. It's hard to believe that this is real life for the New York Giants right now, but it is. And I remember going in the offseason when the schedule comes out, and we're talking about the offseason, how many wins will the Giants get? And we're going back and forth. And we all looked at this next 4-game stretch of playing the Jaguars, the Texans, the Seahawks, and like, that's where we can maybe bunch up some wins. Well, guess what? We're going into that stretch 4-1. We're going into that stretch where we've been down at the start of the fourth quarter in 5 of 6 games. Guess what? We're 5-1. We surpassed the 2021 win total. We have won back-to-back games versus the last 3 MVPs in Aaron Rodgers and Lamar Jackson. And it feels damn good to be a Giants fan in this new regime of Joe Schoen, Brian Daboll, Wink Martindale, Mike Kafka, and company.
Bobby Skinner. Whoa, bad voice. Bobby Skinner. Producer Julian, Patreon chat. Everybody listening and watching. Holy smokes, man. How do we do that? How did we do that, man? This team, man, these players, these fans, MetLife Stadium. So awesome, man. So awesome. A historical day. We even started flirting a P word around our group chat, our Julian, Bobby, Justin group chat. We started flirting
you could say it, playoffs. Like I'm starting to think about our playoff plans. Like, you know, as soon as baseball's over, I'm hitting up the John Boy Media people. Be like, all right, let's plan out the playoffs for the Giants.
I actually just slacked Bill, the events guy, being like, let's hop on a phone call tomorrow and chat about what we can maybe do. It was a historical day, Bobby Skinner. This was the first Lamar Jackson loss to an NFC team ever. Did you know that? The Giants overcame second half deficits of 10+ points to win in weeks 1 and week 5. They're the 4th team in NFL history to record 3 such wins in their first 6 games of a season. And according to Jordan Ronan, the Giants have tied an NFL record in the Super Bowl era on Sunday by winning as an underdog for the 4th time through 6 games. But most importantly, we're like the worst 5-1 team ever.
They keep saying it as we keep beating former MVPs, as we keep beating 1 seeds. Just keep saying it. This was an awesome game, though. You know, and this is a game where just you pull out a win when you shouldn't have. You know, this is, you know, the Ravens outgained the Giants 406 yards to 238 overall yards, but again, the Giants were the number 6 scoring offense in the second half coming into this week. Well, guess what? We put up 17 points in the second half in this game. So I would assume we're going to move up those rankings this week after only having, 7 points in the first half. And they should have had another 7 if Saquon runs that ball in instead of just, letting the clock run out, which I get is the smart thing. But I really wanted that ball in there for a certain reason.
Which, by the way, you can either count this in your brain or not count it at all. Guess it doesn't count. Saquon Barkley going down and taking a knee and not scoring a touchdown. If he did score a touchdown, then the Giants get 30 points on the board. That would have been the first time that the Giants offense scores 30 points in a game since Washington 2019, a game that is known as the Andrew Thomas Bowl. So almost.
Yeah, I really wanted 30 points. Obviously, Saquon makes the right move, but even before we get into like super, getting nitty gritty analysis, but that spin move was crazy by Saquon.
Nuts.
It's like, oh my gosh, and I guess we could talk about, since we're talking about Saquon, like that spin move was nuts. And then Saquon had, he finished the day with 88 rushing yards, 83 rushing yards. He started the game, the first half, 6 carries for 14 yards. His longest carry of the game was 8 yards, but he ended up with the 83 rushing yards. The second half, man, with a bum shoulder, you could tell he's favoring a little bit. Hopefully that thing could get healthy. 16 carries for 69 yards and a touchdown. And to a credit to Saquon Barkley, I know we're just diving right into Saquon, he surpassed his 2021 rushing total today. In 6 games, he surpassed his 2021 rushing total. The Giants surpassed their 2021 win total, and Saquon Barkley takes his rushing total. So, I don't know why we're just starting off with Saquon Barkley, but guess what? He's been essentially the top 2 player on the team with him and Andrew Thomas.
We're going with where the heart is taking us, Bobby Skinner, and we're starting off with Saquon Barkley. So, yeah, man, it's a credit to him where it's a different mentality this year for him. I don't know what went wrong in 2021, obviously coming off the ACL, and we all know, the second year coming off that surgery, you're able to focus more on just being a football player and not rehabbing your knee. So that's obviously a huge part of it, but it's also just the mentality of Saquon of, I'm going to take these nitty-gritty yards. I'm not going to make every single rushing attempt that I have as it's going to be my last one, and I need to get a 20-plus yard play here. You mentioned that today his longest was 8 yards.
8 yards. When's the last time Saquon had a good rushing game and his longest rush was 8 yards?
Yeah, and that's been a critique of his kind of throughout his career. But we were even talking about just how did the Giants win this game in general, because honestly, Bobby, I don't know how they won this game.
Key plays at key times.
But the Ravens had 7 yards per play. The Giants had 3.8 yards per play. This just insanity. Pure insanity.
Yeah, so let's talk about it. First, this episode was brought to you by some special people. What are their names? Well, I'll tell you their names. They are brought to you by Matt, I'm going to say Dale instead of Dale, 2121. We got Rowan Beer. He's Rowan and all the beer. Joe Swanson. I wonder if he's related to our friend Ron Swanson, even though that's not his real name.
No.
Actually, Joe Swanson, I think that's the name of the American Dad guy. JDNZY, that's not your real name. Mike Picariello, Chris Perry, Sam Falks, Kevin Falk or Marshall Falk's son, Richard Jackson, I am for real, Joshua De Souza, Kobe Vasquez, and Luke Perkowski. We got the Mamba mentality on this Giants team. Who are these people?
All these wonderful people. They sponsor today's show by going to patreon.com/TalkingGiants. $2 a month plus some other tiers. You get to hang out with us live while we record the shows. The Giants just don't lose. They don't lose. So you can come and celebrate with us Victory Mondays early by Victory Sundays, by celebrating with us on Sundays. So patreon.com/TalkingGiants. Bobby Skinner will also send you some stickers, magnets in the mail. Plus we do some shirt raffles twice a month. Thanks to our patrons.
So this was a game where the Giants were losing the entire time. Offense, puts up points towards the end of the game, and then the defense makes plays when they matter the most. And we'll go more in depth in the defense. But that interception was like at that point in the game, all Giants fans are like, all right, we're getting a punt, 3 minutes left. There's hope. And then Lamar Jackson, they screw up the snap. Lamar Jackson throws that ball, and then Julian Love intercepts it, and everything is like, oh my gosh. Like it's actually, it hits everybody. Like we're actually going to go 5-1. I thought Julian Love was going to take it into the end zone. It was actually better that he didn't because you could take some time off.
Yep.
Giants end up scoring. They score fairly quickly. And then you get the Kayvon strip sack at the end. Like Kayvon's you score a touchdown, but you're still like, still a minute and 50 seconds left for Lamar Jackson. That's scary as hell. And then the first play, Kayvon gets his strip sack.
This was a game. Oh, Bobby Skinner sneeze fest. We're missing it. Damn. This was a game. I'm sitting there in the stands, especially because the offense really struggled throughout the first half. They really struggled through the first 3 quarters. How many points did they score in the fourth quarter, Bobby?
I believe
14, at least 14. I think they
scored 14 in the fourth quarter, 3 in the third quarter, and 7 in the second quarter.
And that field goal had to come later in the third quarter, right?
I think it was on the fourth drive.
So this is a game where, the Giants are struggling for almost an entire 3 quarters, and I'm sitting there in the stands where I'm getting like 2021, 2020 level of frustrations with the offense, where just early down efficiency is not good. And even though we were down by 3 points at times and then 6 points at times, it felt like the margin was like multiple scores. It was like 14, 21 points. And it's like, I did not see a scenario that we were going to come back in this game because it just didn't feel like it. But when they start to come back and then just the nerves kicked in, I was so freaking nervous throughout this entire game, where even when stuff starts to happen, it's like, man, this team is special. They're doing special things. And it's time that we need to believe it. I need to believe, and I'm telling this to myself, that I need to believe that this team is doing special things, even though so much is going against them, especially personnel-wise, talent-wise. They're doing special things against like good quality teams who should do something in the NFL. The Ravens, I picked the Ravens to win the Super Bowl this year. Lamar Jackson is having like an MVP-like season. Daniel Jones like outdueled him, and Daniel Jones only threw for 173 yards today.
Well, and that's what I think. I think Daniel Jones, what he's doing is a good barometer of what this Giants team is doing. Because you look at the stats and you say, he went 19 of 27, 173 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, which is like, okay, average game. But over, especially the last 2 weeks, Daniel, one is like, well, they're not getting the big plays. Well, the big plays aren't there, and they're really not like trying. They're not attacking them. They're really the only times they did with those those under center play actions, and which led to a couple sacks actually, in the game. But he's delivering when it's needed. Like he's operating the offense and doing it. It's not going to be 50, 60, 70 yard touchdowns, but I think it shows up the most on third down.
Yes.
Today on third down, he went 7 of 10, 63 yards, a touchdown, and 0 interceptions. 7 of 12 on conversions. They had 3 third and 10 pluses. He went 2 for 3 for 33 yards, and then the drop to Wandale. The ball to Wandale could have been a little better, but at the end of the day, it's third and long. Catch the ball. Like I want to see a better ball out of Daniel Jones, but I'm not going to kill him for that. Like it's the NFL, so you got to catch the ball. So like on those plays, and then he had 2 of and then he was 2 for 3 on 3rd and 10 pluses versus the Packers as well, and the only one he didn't convert was a screen to Saquon Barkley. The last 2 weeks he's 13 of 22 on third down, 59%, completing 13 of 20 passes, 114 yards, and then 4 of the 9 non-conversions. Well, guess what? 3 screens and then the drop by Wandale.
Insane. I mean, that's where Jones has made his money the last 2 weeks. So I even looked at it from a CPOE perspective. So even though like the basic box score stats, this is where the advanced stats really come in. If you're a DJ defender, if you got friends that are saying, well, he's still not lightening up, he's still not doing this, he's still not doing that. The advanced box score for Daniel Jones when it comes to CPOE, completion percentage over expected, well, basically that means when you talk about Daniel Jones as a plus CPOE, I believe it was 7.7 this past Sunday, according to Next Gen. What that basically means is Daniel Jones is completing more passes than what he is expected to do based on player tracking data. He is being more accurate with the ball, placing the ball where it needs to be so his receivers can catch the ball. So that, I think he's 5th in the NFL right now for this entire season, and I think he's 4th or 5th out of all quarterbacks so far this weekend, according to Next Gen CPOE model. And then EPA, last 2 weeks have been some of his best EPA games because he's been money on third downs. Because he's been money, the Giants have kind of been putting him in an uncomfortable situation by having so many third and longs, especially today. Julian, what was the average to-go distance for the Giants on third down today? Not really ideal, but converting them.
6.5, something like that.
And in the first half, it was almost 8, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know this isn't always the best barometer, but 4 fourth quarter comebacks and 6 games of this year by Daniel Jones. Like he's performing when it matters the most. The touchdown drive, he went.
What do you mean it's not the best barometer? I hate to compare. This is a not fair comparison, but Giants won a Super Bowl in 2011 based off of a quarterback that came back in the fourth quarter a ton. Yeah,
and he was leading the NFL in the week. Now, not every NFL quarterback is going to be put in, they'll be winning the game in the fourth quarter. But nonetheless, he's doing it in the fourth quarter when it matters. I got to take a break. There's like a cricket in the other room or something. That's driving me nuts.
Ooh.
So
Bobby Crickets.
Edit this out.
When O'Shane Zimenez has a good game, Bobby Crickets. When Jihad Ward has a good game, Bobby Crickets.
All right, so what were we talking about? Daniel Jones.
Third downs. Fourth quarter comebacks.
Yeah, so, again, not everything has to be a big picture conversation, but Daniel Jones has been solid the last 4 weeks.
Here's my message, by the way. Here's my message. I said it on Wednesday's mailbag, but I'm throwing it out there now. Enjoy this ride. Enjoy it. Not every game especially when we're in the middle of October, especially when we're 6 games in. Not every game needs to be a big picture conversation on Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, and everything that we need to do with the Giants roster. During losses, I guess, different story, when we're just reflecting on the team and why the team lost, but enjoy this ride right now. Enjoy that Daniel Jones is 8-3 in his last 11 games, which is insane, which is absolutely insane. I'm enjoying this ride right now, and I'm not even thinking about having a big picture Daniel Jones conversation, like unless he misses a game or unless we get to the month of December. I'm enjoying this right now. Giants are winning. They never do this.
Someone whose future I do want to talk about, Evan Neal. He played awesome today, especially in pass pro. I got to go rewatch, the all-22 version to see exactly how he was playing in the run. But in pass pro today, he was flat out awesome. And guess what? We talked about it on the mailbag. We're like, what point do they let him vertical set? And he wasn't vertical set in the whole game. But we did see vertical sets for the first time. And his best plays came on those plays. And I think that those were when the drop back passes were happening, the third and longs. And coming into the Evan Neal has been great the past couple weeks, but after the first 2 games, people were high on Evan Neal, and he wasn't like horrible or anything, but I was like, there's no really awesome reps. This week is the first time we've got awesome Evan Neal reps. So I think that's huge, and I think that's huge just one for Evan Neal and his growth to like, okay, here we go, like, kind of a confidence booster, like, hey, you belong here, which 100% matters with NFL players, confidence, knowing that you can do stuff. And if the Giants want to run some drop back offense, which they did a lot more today,
they need to do more of it, man.
Then they're going to need Evan Neal to be able to hold his own, and he did today.
Now, obviously, all 22 didn't come out yet, but was there a mix of dominant reps where you saw that they were doing the vertical pass sets and then horizontal pass sets? Like, did he grow in the areas that you think that Bobby Johnson would want him to grow in?
Yeah, it's I went and rewatched it on broadcast. He was doing both, but his best sets were in vertical sets. But if you can get those down, then it allows you to do the more aggressive pass sets, whether it's a jump set where he had some good plays, whether it's the 45 set where he got some good plays, and he was my giant factor in this game, and he was a giant factor. Thank you, Eli Bittner, in the chat for reminding me of that. So, I mean, that's huge for his growth.
I have a question, though. You called for it on the mailbag. You called for it on the O-line report. Mike Kafka followed you on Twitter, number 1. Number 2, is Bobby Johnson a fan of the O-line report? Some are saying that.
I don't. So here's the thing with like the whole.
Just avoid it.
Well, no, he's not. At least they pay attention to. They pay attention to like our Twitters and stuff, but they're not actually like listening to what we say.
Disagree.
Except for Jody Wright. So I think the vertical sets are 100% better for Evan Neal, but a lot of the reasons why teams don't run the vertical sets is for picking up the blitz and stunt pickup, which the Giants have not gotten beat by, blitzes and had free rushers or anything. Like they've worked together as good as a unit. They've just lost individually. Mark Lewinsky continues to get murked, a few times a play. Like I had low expectations for Mark Lewinsky, and he's kind of not even reaching those. So that's frustrating, but Evan Neal was awesome. And then Thomas, I know I saw people saying that he was banged up, but he looked fine after that. Like he had another dominant game.
It was the 2-minute series where the Giants went 3 and out at the end of the first half. There was a rushing play that went nowhere, that Thomas got his ankle rolled up. He was limping a little bit after that. And then he limped. And then when he walked to the locker room, that's when all the beat reporters saw that he was limping back to the locker room. They taped up his ankle. He was fine in the second half. I was like, when Marcus Peters got that interception and it was a DPI in the end zone and Marcus Peters was running it back.
I was yelling at him, stop chasing him. I was like,
stop. It's not a real play. Stop. He was sprinting down the field. So
it was funny because
fine. So
Slayton saw the flag and knew it was a penalty. But he literally just stops and he's like, come on. Like, while Marcus Peters is running out of the end zone.
Yeah, and Thomas.
But I was yelling at Thomas and all of them because I was just like, don't waste your energy. We need it. Let him burn his energy running down the field.
Feliciano had a groin, and Azudu came in for a couple plays. I think they actually ran the ball pretty well. There was a play where Azudu pulled. Azudu pulled, and it led to a nice little Saquon Barkley run. But it was the same ankle for Andrew Thomas that he got off-season surgery on, so I hope he's going to be okay.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen him battle through that injury.
Yeah.
But we obviously, he wasn't great in the run game last year, so hopefully that doesn't affect him in that way. So,
but great for Evan Neal. Like, awesome.
Yeah, great for Evan Neal. Thomas, and you can't be like, well, he played well in the second half with the ankle because you have adrenaline going and injuries. I mean, if you've had a sprained ankle, you know that you can operate on it for 30 minutes, and then you sit down for 10 minutes, and it's like, oh, God, I can't walk anymore. So there's that. All right, so we spent a lot of times on the offense.
Whoa. Well, can we touch on the receivers?
Yes, that's what I wanted to do.
Perfect.
But first I wanted to talk about Daniel Bellinger. 5 catches, 38 yards. That touchdown grab was really, really nice. Good throw from Daniel Jones. On 5 targets, he has an 88% catch rate right now. And I know he's not being used down the field or nothing, but that stuff matters. And his ability to be used in the run game as a blocker and the block and releases. He had a third down catch on a mesh concept, which you really don't see the tight end running the drag on the mesh, but he did that and converted. He's just reliable for this team. And even, they tried to do like the double reverse, and then Daniel Jones throws the ball to Daniel Bellinger, and it gets it to, I think it was like a 3rd and 3 or 2nd and 3 at the end of the game.
Yeah, the touchdown too. I feel like I'm interested to see what you see from the all 22, but I think Marlon Humphrey was in front of him. So I think Daniel Bellinger did a good job of kind of maybe slightly sitting in that zone.
Yes.
Daniel Jones did a good job of throwing it behind him. So Bellinger does a good job of adjusting to that, taking the slight hit from Marlon Humphrey, and then boom. And he, like I said, I feel like 66% of the time Daniel Bellinger touches the ball, it's a touchdown. And it's kind of an awesome conversion rate, if you ask me.
And so you mentioned like the sitting in the zone and stuff like that. And I hate to keep comparing him to Evan Ingram, because I really don't feel like taking shots at Evan Ingram. But like with Evan Ingram, the blocking was bad. Absolutely, the drops were hit. But one of the worst traits of Evan Ingram was just field awareness. Like he would float. Even remember that preseason touchdown against the Patriots that everyone was losing their mind on with Daniel Jones, and Jones shouldn't have thrown that. But the main reason it wasn't a touchdown and an interception was because Evan Ingram just floats, and he doesn't know how to find, like you said, doesn't have that spatial awareness. Bellinger has that, and that type of stuff is so important for a tight end who can do a little bit of everything. Again, not going to stretch the field, be some vertical threat, but we don't need that out of Daniel Bellinger. He's played the most, snaps out of any rookie tight end this year. Like he's been very reliable, and every time he's been called upon, he has delivered every single time.
And I like that his role is expanding too. It's expanding as the season's going on. It's not like he just had a really good week 1 and then he's slowed down since. I feel like every single week we've relied on him more and more. Hopefully they continue to introduce some more, conventional routes that are maybe being run a little bit more down the field. But even if he continues to be used in the same way that he's being used now, I like that as this check down valve, as this guy that could be available on 3rd and shorts, and he gets some gritty yards after contact, yards after the catch, and then boom, he dives forward for a first down. So the way that he's being used now, I'm fine with it, but I'm also down. Hey, let's use Daniel Bellinger more, because I know that Daniel Jones, I know he likes to rely on his tight ends when the tight ends are good and available. So
let's talk about Wandale. Essentially his first game. He played 9 snaps in the first game of the season. 3 catches, 37 yards, and a touchdown. And my mind is like 3rd down weapon. Wandale Robinson's going to be a 3rd down weapon. He was targeted 4 times. He had, again, 3 catches, 37 yards, touchdown. He should have had another 14 yards on that pass he dropped from Daniel Jones. And again, you can critique Daniel Jones on that, but that throw was made. You expect the catch to happen on that. The 3rd and 12 he converted for a 14-yard, I think a 15-yard catch. The touchdown was on a 3rd and 5 at the 6. That's where it's like, oh, this guy might actually be like a really solid chain mover. And again, this was his first game back, and he was playing very limited reps. Like I'm pretty sure Richie James got more snaps than him in this game. It's essentially his first game as a rookie, a small rookie, and he was able to put up some halfway decent production.
When's the last time that we had a receiver miss the first few weeks of his career and then come out and have a good first game, good first showing?
Darius Slayton.
Julian, what are your thoughts on that?
I think you're talking about Odell there.
Well, here's
Zing.
what I have more respect for Odell than to compare Wan'Dale Robinson to him.
Good for you.
Oh, Bobby, let's go.
Good for you. 17, number 17, back in the end zone for Giants wide receivers.
Since Dwayne Harris versus the Saints in that that 7-touchdown Eli Manning game that we ended up losing.
Yeah.
So other notes on the receivers. Did you have? I mean, we really didn't.
That was a really cool Marcus Johnson catch, by the way. It was tipped the screen catch. It was tipped at the line, and then he catches it one hand.
He also had the drop touchdown, which is like
he did have a drop touchdown. But
that was your moment,
Andrews
buddy.
had a Mark Andrews had a top drop touchdown. So who cares?
Well, that ball was tipped by Dane Belton, so I give him a pass on that.
Right on.
Yeah.
Good
You're talking about
for
the
Dane
Fabian Moreau drop?
Yes.
Yeah, Dane Belton tipped that.
Good for Dane Belton.
Well, Dane Belton should have caught that.
Darius Slayton had a nice first down this game. David Sills, yards after the catch. I think that's like one of the biggest yards after the catch plays that we've had this season.
David Sills? He only had one catch for 8 yards.
Huh?
He had one catch for 8 yards.
That was a big play, in my opinion. I felt like there was a lot of yards after the catch there.
So yeah, that's all I got. Why don't you read an ad and we'll talk about the defense because there's a lot. There's a good lot of meat on the bone for the defense.
Julian got a good kick out of me saying there was a lot of yards after the catch here. Am I wrong? I felt like he had a ton of. Is David Sills just that slow?
If the most yards after the catch he could have had was 7, so yeah.
Right on. Good for David Sills. Oh, big on the Wan'Dale Robinson touchdown. Didn't openly block anybody, but he served as the pick for Wan'Dale to come open.
We got called on. I watch games and I never see OPI called, and it seems like we get it called on us once a game. Anyways, read
I'm glad we didn't get an ineligible man downfield this game either. Stupid. Brian Dable loses it. He loses it every time that's called. All right, let's talk about Manscaped. Michael Myers sure is scary. Halloween Ends. Saw it Friday night. It was okay. I need to watch it 5 more times to form more of an opinion. Michael Myers sure is scary, but the last thing you need is to be hairy this Halloween. Do you know how hairy Michael Myers is? The dude's been floating around since 1978, and he's been living in the sewers the last 4 years. He's got like 5 fingers left. He doesn't shower. Like eats dogs. It's bad sight. You know how hairy he is? Michael Myers needs Manscaped. And luckily, our friends at Manscaped, they've launched their 4th generation performance package to make sure your pumpkins get the ultimate carving experience on this spooky day. Turn your bite-sized treat into a king-sized candy and join the 6 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with code GIANTS. Make the right call this spooky season. Unlock your confidence. That's why Michael Myers kills all those people, because he doesn't have enough confidence in his balls. The Performance Package 4.0. Inside, you'll find the holy grail of men's grooming items. They made it easy for you to upgrade your routine. I love Manscaped because it's not just about shaving your balls, but it's all about men's hygiene in the Performance Package 4.0. Of course, you'll get the Lawnmower 4.0. You get a bunch of stuff. You'll get the Crop Preserver, Ball Deodorant, Crop Reviver, all that kind of stuff. I want you to get 20% off plus free shipping with code GIANTS at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with code GIANTS at manscaped.com. Say trick or treat to your beautiful new Halloweeny with Manscaped.
All right, so with the defense, now they gave up 406 yards, but I really think they made plays when it mattered the most. And I went through and when they affected the point differential in the game. There's 6 different times. First drive of the game, Ravens drive down. They've got a 3rd down and 7. Well, Wink throws that exotic look where you had Kayvon and then Dex and Leonard Williams all standing up right next to each other, and then they rushed and threw different looks. It screwed up the run fit. -6 yards to the 42. They end up punting instead of kicking a short-fire field goal. A drive later, Tucker misses the field goal after forcing negative yards on the 56-yard field goal attempt. That's like 6-point differential right there. At the 2-minute warning in the first half, this was huge. They have a 1st and 10 at the 16. 3 straight incompletions. They got to kick a field goal. Then in the second half, they had a 1st and goal at the 5. 3 straight incompletions. That's another, that's 4 points taken off the board if they score a touchdown. So just on those 4 drives alone, you've saved 14 points. 14 points, and that's the difference between winning and losing. And then the interception gets them the ball back at the 13 instead of getting it at the 20, probably maximum for the Giants, and having to go, 3 minutes left and go essentially 80 yards. Well, now they have to go 13 yards. And then the Kayvon Thibodeau strip sack with 1 minute and 43 left, stopping Lamar Jackson from having the ability to have a game-winning drive. So the defense on a down-in, down-out basis did not play well, but they did make plays when it mattered the most, Justin.
And if you force negative plays when they matter the most, it makes it a little bit better when you allow 200 yards on the ground, right?
Yes, and that's what they did. Anytime the Ravens, for the most part, got into a chance to score or make a play, and they wanted to throw the ball, they gave them issues. And Lamar Jackson's stats, they did a halfway decent job on Lamar Jackson. He barely completed 50% of his passes. And really, he only had success throwing to Mark Andrews, had a lot of success throwing to Mark Andrews, but, he completed 11 throws to the tight ends, 5 to the receivers, and then 1 to the back. So I do want to talk about how Mark Andrews was able to have so much success and the rushing stuff and the, but why? But again, Wink Martindale defense is making plays when they matter the most. 4 for 10 on 3rd down.
Yeah, well, I was going to mention that. I was going to mention before you talk about Mark Andrews, the Julian Love interception return. That was I'm really digging here. That was the only Giants 20-plus yard play that they had all day. They had a couple 18-yarders, 17-yarders in the passing game. But the Julian Love interception return was the only 20-plus yard play. And that's huge because in an offense that's kind of struggling to put points up on the board, it allowed them to start inside the 15-yard line, which is huge. 4 for 10 on 3rd down, like you said. What's even more impressive about the Giants' defense ability on third downs today was they did not have a single 3rd down attempt between 1 to 4 yards. Everything was 5+ yards, which that's been an issue for them kind of throughout the season, is that even though they've been an awesome 3rd down defense, it's been a question of, well, look at these 3rd and 1s. Look at these 3rd and 2s, 3rd and 3s, 3rd and 4s. Look at all these 3rd and shorts that teams just aren't converting. There's going to be teams that are eventually going to convert those 3rd and shorts. Well, the Giants didn't even give the Ravens an opportunity to convert those 3rd and shorts. When they got to 3rd down, they were 3rd and longs, and the Giants did a good job of kind of stopping them.
Yeah, and I think that was a key, kind of a boom or bust for the Giants today. Now, Mark Andrews did have 7 catches for 106 yards and a touchdown, and the other tight ends had 4 catches for 51 yards with Isaiah Likely and Josh Oliver. Shout out San Diego State. So the Giants ran a lot more zone than they usually did, which I thought they'd play man versus this Ravens team, but I guess they didn't want to play man coverage versus Lamar Jackson and let him scramble, which Lamar did not scramble really at all in this game. Most of his rushing yards, or not almost damn near all of them, were on design rushing attempts. The issue with that is that Mark Andrews is just always going to find the open spot in zone coverage, and Lamar Jackson, that's his number 1 target, and it just seemed like play in, play out, every time they would run these zone coverages, that Lamar would essentially kind of lock on Mark Andrews and just wait for him to get open because he knew he would get open, and there wasn't a ton of pressure. There wasn't a lot of quick pressure in this game when the Giants were rushing 4, and he was just able to kill him. And then even when they did run some man coverage, he had man coverage touchdown versus Fabian Moreau. So, but and when they had him in man coverage, they threw different looks on him, like Fabian Moreau a little bit, but mostly it was Dane Belton and Julian Love on him. I thought there was better results with man coverage, even though the touchdown came from it. But zone, they were just getting gashed.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I mean, there were some plays where Mark Andrews kind of just mossed Julian Love, but that's expected. There's a reason why Mark Andrews is the best tight end in the game. And I would consider it more or less like a Ravens problem that they have nobody else to go to. I'm not going to apologize for that.
Yeah, I mean, him and Lamar's connection is just so good. Whether it's Lamar breaking out of the pocket or just staying in the pocket, which he did today, and Mark Andrews is just able to win in so many different ways. He really is, probably a top who the top tight ends in the league right now: Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, and I'm sure I'm missing somebody else, but he was able to do that. Now, running the ball. because of Mark Andrews. So the Giants today, they ran a lot of heavy nickel, which is 3 interior defensive linemen. So Leo, Dex, and either Nick Williams, Justin Ellis, and then 2 edge, and then 1 inside linebacker. But they would run 3 safeties. Like Dane Belton played essentially the whole game on defense. So they ran the ball 24 times for 211 yards, 8.8 yards per carry, which is really brutal. But so the issue with that, the heavy nickels, like your best run defenders are now your D linemen. Like they're your main run defenders. But when the Ravens run all this pin and pull stuff, like you don't have to deliver a great block for it to be a good block. Like you just kind of have to get the right angle on a D lineman when you're running that pin and pull stuff. And unless they're Aaron Donald, where they just totally blow stuff up, they're not going to make a difference. And now you have linebackers who aren't the best reading. Tay Crowder and Jalen Smith kind of split reps today. Then you have safeties in there making run fits. It was just, they were able to gash us in the run like that because they were, down blocking on our D linemen, and then our safeties aren't able to fit the run extremely well. And then, again, they run the speed sweep action and then the fake handoff, and then, Lamar holds it, or they give it to Kenyon Drake, who had over 100 rushing yards. So there's just so much action that their main focus today was stopping Lamar. Like that definitely seemed like the plan was, which makes sense, obviously, but they let him run the ball. Here's a negative, a really big negative, though. The second time this year that the Giants have given up a touchdown with only 10 guys on the field. Yeah. That Kenyon Drake touchdown had only 10 guys on the field. It happened versus the Cowboys on an Ezekiel Elliott touchdown. That's the second time. Like that is, again, that's the difference between 7 points and maybe 0. Like the fact that, hey, guess what? You had to play the Ravens run offense, which is exotic. You got to be keyed in, and you were playing down a man. Like that is not good. Like that has to be figured out. Like someone's got to be disciplined in practice this week, or be held accountable. Whether it's Brian Dable holding Wink Martindale accountable, or whatever. But basically, it's like you just can't have that. Like that could be the difference between winning and losing.
And it's not like a 5-yard touchdown, too, where it's like, oh, well, they were already at the 5-yard line anyway. This is a big, explosive play. And I think it was the same thing in Dallas, too. It was a pretty big play, right?
I think the Zeke one was short yardage, but this one was a big, explosive play.
Yeah, so, first of all, I don't know what we did to Kenyon Drake. What did the Giants do to Kenyon Drake? Who was that man today?
He was trying to get his bag back. The Raiders ended up cutting him. Got his bag back.
I mean, I'm glad they gave the ball to J.K. Dobbins at the start, because, I mean, that was thank you. But Kenyon Drake, I feel like, did Daniel Jones sleep with the sister? Was there a Golden Tate situation? Like, what happened? He ran over Dane Belton one play. I'm like, who are you? And you're wearing number 17.
Yeah, the number 17, especially on the Ravens, screws you up because they have their wide receivers in the backfield so much. I'm like, who's this wide receiver? I'm thinking it's Devin Duvernay.
Why is Mike Wallace at running back?
Yeah, essentially. So they were just able to, that's a worry. But again, the teams we play going forward aren't going to be running all of that. Like the Lions will be a mess, but they also don't have Lamar Jackson either. So it's like, even though all these good running teams we may play, it's like, well, none of those guys have Lamar Jackson, and that just makes it so much more stressful for a defense trying to stop the run. Like it was bad. Again, they averaged 9 yards per carry. That's insane on 24 carries, like over 200 yards rushing. So, again, the defense gave up 406 yards in this game. That's not good. But they held the Ravens, Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews to 20 points by making plays when it mattered the most.
And the Ravens ran a lot of plays. I do think the Giants ran more plays, like by 4, but there was a point in the game where I'm sitting there and I'm watching eye test and just feel is the Ravens are just running a shit ton of plays. They're running plays. It's the big running plays that bother me, not necessarily the Ravens get 4 yards here, 5 yards here, 6 yards here. That's not the stuff that bothers me in the run game. What bothers me is the Giants having 10 guys on the field and Kenyon Drake having a huge touchdown. What bothers me is, hey, the Giants are just another hand away from a sack, and then Lamar Jackson breaks containment for 15 yards. That didn't happen a ton, but that's the stuff that bothers me the most, when you allow kind of like the big plays that kind of flips the script and, gives momentum to the Ravens. But the Ravens were running a lot of offensive plays, and drives were kind of stalling out, And it also helped that Hall of Fame kicker Justin Tucker doinked.
I had some Ravens fans that were really mad at me for just saying like he missed the kick, and I was like, ha ha ha. But so let's talk about some players who made plays though on the defense today, and let's start with our 5th overall pick in Kayvon Thibodeau. Had 5 pressures after having I think 4 last week, and then the game-winning sack. Like that is why pass rushers are so important in the NFL. Like, when there's, we talk about coverage, we talk about all the things that are important, but that's why a pass rusher can have the effect on a game that is unlike any other. And again, Kayvon has so much room to grow. Like, he still has a lot of growing to do, but it's like, that's what he can do. Like, that changes a game, being able to get around that block. And again, they blocked him with a tight end. Okay, guess what? We've had pass rushers the last 4 or 5 years who you block them with a tight end and they're not going to win immediately. They might win eventually, but they're not going to win immediately. Kayvon wins immediately, he strips that ball from Lamar, and the game is over. The game is over. Instead of letting Lamar Jackson and the Ravens go and drive down the field. Like, that was a huge play, and he's continuing to get pressure. And I think if he's going to get better, confidence will grow, and the sacks are going to come. And he got his first one of his career today.
And that was great, too, because he kind of got washed around a little bit. That wasn't like a conventional sack, but he went for the ball. I mean, to just be able to move that fast in a game where you're also playing Lamar Jackson, it's not like you're playing a statue back there. To be able to move that fast and to focus and to just swipe the ball. I know these are paid professional athletes, but just insanity stuff. And then he almost even recovered the ball as well. So awesome stuff from Kayvon. He called game on his first sack, and it wasn't even like your conventional sack, but just great wherewithal to swipe that ball. Leonard Williams falls on it. Dexter
Lawrence, 4 sacks in 6 games, has matched his career high, which was in 2020. He had a QB, like he got his sack on Kevin Zeitler. He had 2 QB hits. One was against Tyler Linderbaum. One I think was against Kevin Zeitler as well. Kevin Zeitler is a really good pass blocker. Linderbaum's a rookie and undersized, so I actually expected maybe to see Dex win a little more. But again, 4 sacks. Getting a sack on Lamar Jackson as the defensive tackle is like a huge deal. And he did that. And it was, I believe it was on a 3rd down at the end of the half. So he almost had another one dominance.
He almost had another one where Lamar scrambled out.
Lamar basically did a jump pass where he got hit on that play. And Dex laid the wood on him. So good stuff for Dexter Lawrence, man. He's been continuing the ball. Good stuff.
We're 6 games in. You mentioned 4 sacks for Dexter Lawrence. His career best in 2020 is 4 sacks. He has 10 QB hits on the season. 2019, he had 9 QB hits. 2020, he had 10. 2021, he has 11. So he is 1 QB hit away from tying his career best. And we're 6 games in.
And that edge pressure helps with it. If we can get all these guys healthy at one time, I think we said it on last Monday's podcast, but man, we get Leo, Dex, Kayvon, Aziz, and we've got a 4-man pass rush to be proud of. That will change games for us. So there is nothing in the NFL like being able to rush 4 and get to the quarterback. There's nothing like it. There's no scheme. There's nothing that can replicate what that does for defense. There's no blitzing package. There's no cover corners that can replicate 4 guys who could just get to the quarterback and affect him and drives. And that's what sacks do. It turns into interceptions. It turns into QB hits. It turns into fumbles. It's just game-changing stuff. Oh, and by the way, the Julian Love interception was the first interception of the season.
Yes. Just when you kind of needed it the most, right?
Yeah, literally needed it the most. And so Love gets his 4th interception of his career. So that was good to see him get. By the way, Lamar, that was like a what are you doing type of thing. He threw to Patrick Ricard, which is it's not like you're throwing to, Mark Andrews. That was a very panicky play. If I was a Ravens fan, I'd be so pissed off at Lamar for that play. But
I'll take it.
They felt the pressure.
But I'm not a Ravens fan. I'm a Giants fan.
Exactly. All right. Anything else on the defense that you want to hit on?
No.
Held their receivers to 5 catches for 45 yards. Their running backs to
Dory
one.
Jackson, awesome. I mean, there was an insane play that he made in the first quarter, like a deflection, where a guy, I feel like he was like open, but he closes that gap. So Dory Jackson's awesome. The fact that we're not calling Fabian Moreau's name, I know the Mark Andrews touchdown, whatever, he had a drop interception, but the fact that we're just not consistently calling Fabian Moreau's name, awesome. So the fact that we don't have much to say about the secondary, I feel like is a good thing.
Julian Love also had like a pass deflection in the end zone where Lamar made some time with his legs and threw the ball like 45
Early in the
yards.
game.
That was a big play. So they're getting the most out of these guys on defense. And
Jihad Ward.
he had the start of the game. He was just making run play after run play after run play. And he had 2 somersaults on first downs, which is very always love that. I'm looking forward to clipping. That might be the first thing I clip up from the All 22 is the Jihad Ward's somersaults.
Oh, and Kayvon retweeted us because he asked people can you give me angles of me doing the salsa? And I did a keyframe and I zoomed in on him throughout the 3-second clip, and he retweeted us on Twitter, which is nice.
Cool stuff. Thank you, Kayvon. Our good
Thank
friend
you, Kayvon.
Good day for the rookie class. Belton played essentially 100% of the snaps. Evan Neal played great. Kayvon, game-winning strip sack. Daniel Bellinger, a touchdown. Wandale Robinson, a touchdown. Really good day for the rookie class out of everyone that is healthy. The only guy who didn't play was Micah McFadden. And then everybody else in the class is hurt. I guess Azudu. Not. But hey, Azudu came in for 2 plays and did a good job in the run blocking. So
solid job. Yep.
So he might have the best PFF grade out of anybody on the roster after this.
I'm going to ask a dumb question. Who's 79?
Tyree Phillips, revenge game.
Oh, he was reporting eligible a ton today.
Yeah, I noticed that. And again, it led to some Saquon tough rushing yards. All right, that's kind of all we got. Julian mentioned to us that we are underdogs for this Jaguars game.
2.5 points. And normally the books give 3 points to the home team. So if it was a neutral site, we would be 1 point favorite.
But it's not a neutral site, so we're the underdogs.
Yep.
Everyone continues to doubt us. It's insane. And the Jaguars just lost again to the Colts, like total frauds. I knew that was so. People are like, "Oh, the Jaguars are actually really good," and I was like, I watched them pretty closely week 1. Like, I'm pretty sure they're fraudulent, and they are fraudulent. We got to beat those guys. I'm gonna be there. So, and I'm getting a lot of questions about tailgating. I don't know where I'm gonna be. I'll try and find out Sunday morning. But Jacksonville's probably not the best tailgating stadium, but we'll try and find a place.
We'll try and find a place. I was the reason why the Giants won today. Yeah, I wore my Talking Giants hoodie, the draft hoodie from 2021. My favorite piece of apparel that we have, especially now that I lost weight. It's much more baggy on me, so I love it. It was hot. It was it was 70 degrees, but it was a hot 70 degrees because the sun was right on us, as you could see by my raccoon tan that I have once again. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do this game, and I'm gonna be at this game for Coach Judge. I rolled up my sleeves. I was wearing a navy blue Giants hoodie, and I was letting my forearm show, and I'm like, I'm doing this game for Coach Judge, and I'm the reason why we won.
We just had 50 people unsubscribe because you mentioned Joe Judge and didn't say that he's the worst person alive.
Oh, man. Look at what he's doing with Bailey Zappi. QB
I know.
coach.
Kind of funny how.
I'm really happy for him. Can I talk about the MetLife vibes for a hot sec?
Yeah, go for it.
It was very cool. Definitely, I wasn't part of the 2016 season. I was a freshman in college. But definitely like the biggest, loudest, most awesome game since like the Larry Donnell Helmet Catch 2.0 Sunday Night Football against San Fran in 2015. So really, really cool. It was joyful. Like MetLife was just pure of joy. Like just walking out of that stadium, everybody's just high-fiving each other. Like everybody's friends and everybody's family. Like it doesn't matter if I know you, doesn't matter if I don't know you. We're all high-fiving each other. Like that just hasn't been. I didn't even recognize it. And I wanted to see like, oh, how did it sound on TV and how did it feel? Like after the Julian Love interception, the camera was shaking. And it wasn't a Buffalo Bills camera shake. It wasn't a Kansas City Chiefs big moment camera shake. But that camera was shaking. And that stadium was kind of jumping. And it was very, very fun. There was somebody who actually broke his seat. So he was like holding it up in the air and thrusting it up in the air. So I'm like, oh, take home that seat. Break MetLife. So it was very, very fun. They're actually tearing down part of the racetrack. So I'm like, you're tearing down the wrong thing. But no, we like MetLife now.
Yeah, MetLife is the best. I think it has probably one of the best parking situations in the NFL. And access in and out to the stadium. So how about that?
It depends where you park, but I mean, if you have it down to a T like I do, then yeah, it's pretty good getting in and out.
A lot of revenge for 9 former Ravens: Tyrod Taylor, Ben Bredesen, Jahad Ward, Justin Ellis, Tony Jefferson, Mekhi Polk, Will Holden, Wink Martindale, tight end coach Andy Biscoff, outside linebacker coach Drew Wilkins. I feel like I'm missing some. Oh, Tyree Cleveland, or not Tyree Cleveland, Tyree Phillips. So a lot of revenge was served. Okay, so you can take this out of the pod if you want, Julian. Can we talk about how your mom is mad at us again?
Yeah, she was not happy. She texted me this morning. Let me pull it up, actually. She said, could they stop with the killing animals posts? I just don't like it.
Did you respond?
I did. I said, they've been doing it for years, well before me. She said, never too late for them to stop.
Just I would wait for the Jaguars game.
And
the Texans will be a tough one because it's like, do I get a news report that says a Texas man died? But then it's like you don't want to make fun of an actual human being. That
people would be more okay with a Texas man died versus an animal, isn't that?
Yeah, that actually is pretty true.
I just can't believe she didn't read the comments. That's what I'm shocked about.
Yeah, she's like Julian's mom is like a Instagram comment star right now.
I shouldn't have even mentioned that because now I'm just inciting violence. But
no, guys, definitely, please don't.
No,
please don't. Please don't. Going forward, please do. I'm telling you guys, don't do that.
That part I'm cutting for sure.
You won't be able to edit the mailbag pod. All right, that's a show. We'll be back Wednesday with a mailbag pod. O-line report's gonna be fun this week because Evan Neal's good, so that's gonna be pretty damn cool. Film review. I've actually been enjoying the film. I think the film review is a better product than the O-line report, by the way. Anyways, we'll see you guys on Wednesday. Enjoy another Victory Monday. We appreciate you guys. We'll see you then. Until then, let's go Big Blue.